Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Monday. I hope you enjoyed your weekends. Once again, weather is beautiful outside, so hopefully same where you are. And morning, everyone. Again, sorry for the jumping on and off this morning. I'm having a few internet teething issues this morning. The joys of working from home. Although I guess it's been fine for the 3 weeks so far. So typically it's this morning when I'm trying to connect up to YouTube Live again that it's caused me problems. But I'm going to jump straight in. It seems to be on connected and stable now, so hopefully it lasts the cause. So I don't know how much of that previous intro you actually saw before I went offline, so thank you for joining us again. Part 4 this morning of our All In This Together program for Autodesk Revit. My colleague Francisco will be back at 11 for Fusion 360. And part 4 on the Revit side starts getting more specific. So we're looking at modeling today. We've looked at the user interface and how to navigate. We've looked at how to start setting up our project with grids and levels. And last week we looked at how to start modifying components. A little bit strange to do that first when we haven't already gone through and drawn something, but hopefully you'll see why today, because when we start drawing things, all of those modification tools that we looked at last week instantly start coming into play. So firstly, if you have been following me along, I have the file from the end of Johnny's session open, so nothing that we did last week. If you are joining us for the first time this morning, firstly, welcome. Secondly, check the description. There's a little download link which will just take you to this file as it is, nice and clean at this point in time. So we've got half an hour. I was a little bit late starting, so we'll just go until we're finished, but we've got about half an hour this morning. Again, apologies, the internet connection for me this morning does seem a little bit risky, so we'll see how we get on. If for whatever reason I drop, we'll re-record the session and throw it up again maybe later on this afternoon. But without further ado, let's jump straight in and show you how we can very quickly get started in Revit. So first and foremost, I've got this file open where John has just put down some basic grids for me. And I've gone over to level 0 because I want to start my drawing on the ground floor. I'm going to draw from the bottom up. And anyone that's used to CAD will be really at home with the way that you draw stuff inside of Revit. It's easy. Literally, it's the same as drawing a line, but rather than drawing a line, you're drawing a parametric wall or a roof or whatever it might be. Excuse me. So first and foremost, we need some walls. We need some external walls. So come up to my ribbon bar on the architecture tab, because I'm drawing an architectural wall, and just go ahead and single click on the wall button. What that will do is it will put you into the wall tool. And there's a couple of things that we're not going to go through in massive amounts of detail today because we've got a lot to go through in the next half an hour. But first and foremost, we can see all of our modify tools now. So we can draw walls as lines, as arcs, as circles, as squares, rectangles, so on and so forth. So all of your standard sketching tools you have access to, which is great. As well as that, you've got some options as to how you would like to draw your wall. So for the purpose of this example today, we're going to say, okay, well, I don't want to draw an unconnected wall of 8 meters. I actually want to span this wall the length and breadth of the building. So rather than being unconnected at 8 meters high, I actually want my my wall to span from my level 0, so my ground floor, all the way up to my roof level. And what that will do parametrically is it will create a constraint between the ground and the roof, and the wall will span between those levels. Doesn't matter how those levels change moving forward, they will span. So we set the height going to the roof. We would like to draw the center line of the wall. We don't want to draw the finish face, external or internal. We want to draw down the center, and we do not want an offset. Once they're all set, we can check our type selector just here. This is where it allows us to choose what type of wall that we're drawing. Now, absolutely, you can edit those and create your own. We're just using defaults today so that we're all using exactly the same setup. And all we're going to do is just select this wall external, 102 block work, 75 insulation, 100 brickwork with a 12mm bit of plasterboard. So this one here, the default one. And then literally, this is drawing the same as you would draw a line in a paint program, the same that you would draw a line in a CAD program. Click, let go, move your mouse, and then click. Really straightforward. And actually, to make it really straightforward today, we're going to use the snap points on these grids. So you'll notice Revit will snap to certain points for us. So let's go for the intersection on B2. Click your mouse and let go. And then when you move your mouse, you'll notice that you get this bungee, which has actually got a wall on it. So a couple of things. Yes, we get a dynamic input pop up with a dimension or an angle if the wall is at an angle. That means that if you want to, you can type in. So if you wanted to specifically draw a wall that's 10 meters long, by all means type in 10 meters. We'll do that in a second, but for now, let's just come along and bring this wall all the way up to the intersection of 4B and click. I'm then going to move my mouse down a little bit. I'm going to type in 5000. We're in millimeters, so 5,000 millimeters is 5 meters. Then I'm going to come across 10 meters, so to the left, 10 meters. Click my mouse, or hit return. And then finally, just to finish this off, we're going to come all the way down to this lower line here, all the way across. You'll notice you'll get to this point and it will snap, click, and then all the way up and click. That will end your wall. Now, in 6 or 7 clicks there, what we've actually got is a fully detailed 2D representation of a wall. But actually, in the background, what Revit has done, if we go and have a look at this house button up here to go to our default 3D view, or indeed use our project browser to go to our default 3D view, we have a fully 3D representation of that wall that is spanning from our ground floor all the way up to our roof level, which is great. Now, just to explain those parametrics very quickly, if we just go and have a look at our elevations, again using our project browser down there, and just go and pick one of them, doesn't really matter which one. What we can see is that we've got our walls just here, and then here are our levels. Just to make this a little bit easier, if you want to spread your levels out, you can just click one of them. Click and drag on this little circle just here, and it will drag all of them over to the left. You can do the same to the right if you want to, just to span them out the breadth of our grid. So here's our walls going from our level 0 to our roof. Absolutely, if we was to select by hovering over one of those walls, pressing the tab key, clicking the chain of walls, we could change them to say they're not going to the roof, they're going to level 3. Those walls would obviously update. We do want them to go to the roof, so please tell them to do so. Likewise, if we was to grab the roof level and change it, the walls would obviously change with that. We have a parametric model. I've just done an undo there just to take it back. So a very quick explanation of what we've done. We've drawn some 3D walls in 2D, and they're parametrically constrained to those grids. So now that I have that, I want to go ahead and add a floor. Again, really easy to do this. By the way, before we do that, if you zoom in and you notice your lines look really thick and you can't see the plasterboard, that's just to do with this view scale down here, which we'll explain in more detail when we get to the view options later on in this course. What I do for now is just turn on thin lines, this button up here, or you can press TL on your keyboard. Just makes the lines all the same thickness, very easy when you're editing to see what's going on. If your walls are the wrong way round, just press your spacebar and it will flip them. You want all of the plasterboard, this little bit here, obviously facing the inside of your building. Now, let's add a floor. Again, this is so straightforward, guys. Go up and press the floor button. And again, you get your sketching tools. It will automatically put this on pick walls for us because it knows that this floor, should be connected to a wall. So absolutely go and select with a single mouse click all of your walls around your building. We can choose the type of floor, that we want to draw. I'm going to go with a ground bearing floor. And then we can press the tick. That will place our floor. If you wanted to edit that for any reason, with it selected, you just press Edit Boundary, and it takes us back into that editing environment. Quick tip, you'll notice my floor here is automatically extended to the core of the wall, which it would if it's a ground floor like this. Should your wall, for any reason, be only spanned just underneath the plasterboard, find these little flip arrows here and just go and press them. And that will change between a wall that's just underneath the plasterboard to a wall that's extending to the core. A floor, that's extending to the core of the wall. Once we've done that, press the big green tick. Go and take a little look in your 3D view by pressing your little house. And that will show you, if we use our orbit, remember that shift and middle mouse button, we can see we have a floor and we have some walls. Not a difficult design, but really straightforward. Shows us exactly what we need and very easy to do. So let's jump back to level 0 and let's go and place some internal walls. Now we're going to imagine that this is just a few stories high office block or something like that. Personally, myself, I miss going to the office. I miss the interaction with all my work colleagues and friends. So I'm going to draw an office here, and rather than drawing a house, normally we come and do a house, but I'm sick and tired of these 4 walls. So it'd be really nice to get back to the office and collaborate with all my colleagues and teammates. So we're going to draw a simple office. So here we are. We have simple external walls and we have a floor. What we're going to do now, we're going to stay on this level. We're going to go back to our wall tool, but this time, rather than choosing that external wall, we're going to use our type selector on the left-hand side, and we're going to go and find a suitable internal wall. So maybe a 75mm partition. So wall, partition, 12mm plasterboard, 75mm stud, 12mm plasterboard. That's perfect for this design. So I'm going to select it, and then whatever I draw will be based on that particular type of wall. Again, note your options at here. So we're just going for a default height of 4 meters, which again, for the purpose of what I'm doing this morning, that's fine. It's going from height to level 1. So it's going from where it currently sits all the way up to level 1. It's not an unconnected wall. So again, it's parametric. So it will go from the top face of the floor below up to the underside of the floor above, like you would have for an internal wall. So let's just go through and place some internal walls. So I'm not massively fussed about where these go, but let's imagine that we've got an entrance door somewhere around here, so we want a bit of a reception area. So I'm just going to draw a wall roughly from this snap point here all the way over to the left-hand side, and then click. Because we've connected 2 walls together there, you'll notice that it wraps the plasterboard, and it also comes out of the chain of walls, if you like. You know, if I was drawing wall after wall after wall and they're not connected, it would keep drawing. But the second that you make that connection of one wall to another, it will stop that chain because it knows that you've connected those walls up. So we have this area here, which we'll say that's our reception area. And then let's say that maybe we've got a door or an archway over here. Maybe we want to have some form of corridor. I'm not too fussed on dimensions, so I'm just going to roughly do this by eye. Let's draw down here. And then maybe we'll just split this area up into a few different rooms. So let's come across like that, maybe all the way to the end. And then I'm just going to split this up into a few different rooms. So maybe we'll go in the middle, across, and then maybe we'll split this bottom section up, like so. So what we have here is an enclosed area just here, an enclosed area here, here, and then 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I've basically just placed some walls. Doesn't matter in your design what you've done. You might have copied me. You might have done something slightly different. Whatever you've done is absolutely fine. Okay, all we have is some enclosed areas. Now, it's a bit untidy at the minute, so I'm just going to come in and just tidy this up and make it a little bit more specific. The great thing about Revit is we can get ideas and designs down on screen, and then we can make our changes. So I'm just going to zoom into this bit here. I want the plasterboard to be flush on the inside because this will be treated as, let's say, a single open plan office or something like that. So let's zoom in. I could either go to Modify and press my Align tool, Or remember, if I hover over those tooltips, it gives me the keyboard shortcut in brackets, AL. So if you are coming from AutoCAD, you might be used to doing command line shortcuts. So by all means, use those. Go to plasterboard of your main wall, so where you want to align to first, remembering our session last week, and then what you would like to align. I want those to be locked, so I'm going to press the padlock. Again, all of that is covered in detail in the session from last week. Okay. The next thing I want to do is maybe some trimming to make sure that I've got corners where I want corners. So at the moment, I've got this corridor here and this corridor here as separate entities. Maybe I want to connect them together so that they're a single flowing corridor that goes all the way around the building, perhaps. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose my trim to corner, just here, click it, and then click the two parts of the wall you would like to keep. Okay, that will trim to corner and give you that, that single corridor flowing around the side of the building. The final thing I want to do really is just put a couple of dimensions on here. I'm not overly fussed for this session today, mainly because it's a short half-an-hour session, about having something that's mega accurate. You can go through and practice for the rest of the week until next week's session and add some additional accuracies and dimensions to this if you want to. But for the purpose of today, I just want to make sure this is a fairly decent size. So I'm going to come up and choose my aligned dimension tool. Now, this is the first time you would have used this outside of Johnny placing some grids with some basic dimensions on before. So come and choose your aligned dimension and zoom into this corridor. I want to measure my finish face to finish face, but you'll notice when I hover over the wall, it's only giving me that center line. Remember that tab key from the session that we did last week, the ability to select different elements in that build-up by tabbing. So if I hover over where my plasterboard finish face is, press tab once, I can click on my plasterboard and do the same on the other wall, to click once again on your plasterboard. That will allow me to place a dimension. I'm going to go and do the exact same thing down the bottom here, using my tab and using my standard click to place that dimension down. Now what I want to be able to do is just make this a little bit smaller. It's quite wide for a corridor. I don't want it too small, but I want it less than 2¼ meters. So first, select the thing that you would like to move. So in this case, I have a dimension. I can't just double click that dimension and change it. It's not like AutoCAD, or it's not like those applications where that's just a piece of text. It's an intelligent dimension that's driven from the model. So if that dimension changes, it can either move this wall or this wall, depending on what you choose. You'll notice that when you select some geometry that's related to that dimension, the text goes blue and it gets smaller to show you it's editable. You first in Revit select what you want to change. I want to move this partition inwards. So I select the partition, and then I can grab this dimension and I can make it smaller. So I'm just going to go for 2 meters. Do the same thing at the bottom, come down, select what you would like to move, and then change your dimension. And if you remember that rule throughout your use of Revit, you first select what you would like to move, and then you make the change, you'll be absolutely fine. Okay? It's not like other applications where you can just double click the dimension, because that dimension, by changing it, could move any one of these two things. I don't want it to move the external wall, so I specifically choose what I want to move. So I have 2 lines here, or 2 dimensions that are specifying 2 meters. That's fine, I'm happy with that. And I'm going to leave everything there as it is. Now, with those walls, I'm going to come up and I'm going to add some doors. Now, quite simply, go to your Architecture tab, go across to your Door command, and Revit in this file has some default doors loaded. So firstly, let's just place some internal single doors. Doesn't matter what size you use. For later on in this course, when we start scheduling out, might be nice to use some different size doors in there. So I'm going to do just that. I'm going to use 3 different size doors for different things. So let's choose the biggest one, just over 1 meter wide. And let's come in and just hover over a wall. You'll notice that as soon as you hover over any wall, it will preview that door. Okay. So I want that door to be in the middle of that partition that we have there. And you'll notice it's very easy to do that. As we move this door along the wall, Revit will snap to a certain amount of millimeters. So very easy to get that in the center. The further out you are, the bigger that snap becomes. The closer in you are, the smaller that snap becomes. But if you want to use those dimensions and eyeball that center, so you've got 495, 495, and click. Just right click and cancel a couple of times or hit escape a couple of times, and you'll notice that that door has trimmed the wall, and it's also gone in there and given us the door preview as well. Okay, the wall is still there, it's still spanning, it's just cut that element out, which is great. If the door is the wrong way round, select it and cycle through with spacebar to flip and change the direction of that door. Okay, I'm going to have it pushing into the corridor. So we have that door. Okay, if you wanted to move that door, we can select it and we can see that you have temporary dimensions with what we call witness lines between the door here and the finished face of the wall. They can absolutely be selected and changed. You'll notice that we can also move the witness lines by dragging this little blue arrow. So if we wanted the door to actually be measured off the center of the wall or even a grid line, we could do that. I'm not going to do that for the purpose of this today. Use that same method to go ahead and place some more internal doors. So Architecture tab, choose door, and place a few more. I'm going to go ahead and place some 910 doors. So I'm going to say, let's have one that's coming into this room here. Let's come around the corner and have one that's coming into this room here. And then maybe let's place some of the smaller doors, 810, and say that we've got one just here. And then finally, maybe one just over here. Again, for the purpose of this is just giving you an understanding and appreciation and getting you using the software. So it really doesn't matter what we do. There's no set goal here. We're just having a play around and placing some components down. Again, all of those will now have their own witness line dimensions and their own temporary dimensions that we can change. So these are a little bit close to this partition. So maybe I'm going to select this one and bulk that up to about 250. Same over here. Select what you want to select, click the dimension you want to change, and go ahead and make the change. Okay. We needed an external door. So this time we're going to load a door in from Revit's built-in family. Or families, sorry. So each of these doors are known as a family. It's like a block in AutoCAD, but we call them families inside of Revit. They're components. So once again, I'm going to go to my door. I'm going to say this time load family to load another component into the model. This will take me to Revit's default location for its in the at the box library. If you don't have that by default, it's C drive, program data, Autodesk, your version of Revit, libraries, UK. We can go to the door folder. We can go and choose external doors and just go and pick one that you like. I'm just going to go and find some form of, that'll do, a double door there. Doesn't really matter what it looks like too much for the purpose of this. Choose one that you like, open it up, go and hover over where you would like that door to be. And then when you're happy with the placement, go ahead and press your mouse button. Let's go and have a little look in 3D and see what's going on. So we can't see too much because of the size of our walls. We could tilt this up a little bit here, and we can see those internal walls. See what's going on. If we wanted to get a cut just of the 3D of that first floor, head back to your level 0, put a window around everything within that that floor plan. So I've just got a right to left window down here, and then press this button. Selection box, or BX on the keyboard. That'll put a simple section box, which is this little wireframe box you can see here. And when you've got that in there, you can then just resize that to show exactly what you do and what you don't want to show. So we can get an appreciation of what that looks like in 3D. Okay. So far, so good. Happy days. I'm going to jump back to my level 0. I'm going to go to Architecture Window and just place some windows around. Again, I'm going to go with the same premise, use the default ones, and place a few different sizes. So maybe let's go for some nice big ones around the foyer area. So let's just go in and press 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now, if you have placed those the wrong way around, so that the window sill is on the outside rather than the inside, you can come in and select them either one by one or indeed all of them, and you can flip them. Okay. So you can come in and select them and press your spacebar, and it will cycle through the different orientations you can have those windows around. Again, for the purpose of this and based on time, I'm not fussed about the position or the dimensions of those at all. So I've got a few windows there. Maybe let's go and change this to a slightly smaller window and maybe put some along on this corridor here. Not fussed about exactly how many we have, just a few. Maybe change the size for the back corridor here. And just place on some windows. We've got an office space here and here, so maybe we want some bigger windows again. So let's go ahead and grab a slightly bigger window. Again, maybe a different size for the purpose of using these again to show you some takeoffs in the later sessions. And once you've got those, right click and cancel a couple of times, or hit escape a couple of times. Just go and make sure that your orientation, so your window sills, are all on the inside, just to make sure that they are roughly correct. And then when you're happy with that, again, go and have a little look in 3D to see that we have a building that has doors, walls, and windows. Should you want to make any changes, you can obviously absolutely go and select those windows and change any of their properties, change their sill heights to make them higher or lower. Again, we're not going through the length and breadth of this today. We're really just having a play and going through and just showing you how to use these tools so that in your own time you can build more and more experience. And by all means, look on our YouTube channel because we've got some very specific end-to-end point demonstrations showing you how to go through this in a lot more detail. So what we have here is simple ground floor design. The last thing I'm going to do is just go and place a couple of extra stuff on there, and then I'm going to split it up and move it, copy it along the rest of the building. So I'm going to first place a set of stairs. So on my ribbon, come up to circulation and go to stairs. Now stairs can be a bit of a sticking point sometimes. Some people like the way they work, others not. It's relatively straightforward, especially if we're just using the simple tool set out of the box in here. They become a little bit more complicated when you have very specific staircases to build. But literally, we're just going to do a straight run. We're going to come down and say we're going from level 0 up to level 1. We're drawing, let's say, the exterior support left. So we're going to draw the stairs along this partition to the left here. So we're drawing the exterior support left, 1 meter wide staircases without an offset. Now for your reference, those stairs are calculated the way that they work. So you do have calculation rules in there that, that define how the stairs can and can't work. We're not going to worry about that today. We're just going to use everything out of the box. Zoom ourselves in. We're going to draw along this plasterboard. I'm going to leave myself enough space here at the bottom of the stairs, so maybe a couple of meters. Click, and then we can start drawing. You'll notice it gives you a preview. Okay, so it shows you how many rises you've created. We're just going to go all the way to the end with that preview and click again to create those stairs, followed by pressing the tick to create the stairs in. We're going to go ahead and add some ceilings. So go up to your ceiling tool. We're going to leave it on automatic ceiling, first of all, apart from this area here where we're going to have to sketch the ceiling. And we're going to change to, rather than a compound ceiling, a 600 by 600 grid, because this is an office, we want grid ceiling. Literally go ahead and click in every enclosed area. You'll notice it highlights the boundary in red. So click once, once, click once, click once. Now it's coming up with a warning in the bottom right. I'm being a bit naughty. I should have gone to my ceiling plan. I won't be able to see this ceiling within my floor plan because it's above where the view looks. So what I should have done is gone to the ceiling plan and done that. Don't worry too much for the purpose of what we're doing now. But before you add this last ceiling, right click and cancel a couple of times, and do head over to your ceiling plans for level 0. Firstly, you'll see all your grids in there. If you want to be specific, please use your align tool. You can align the ceiling grids if you want to. I'm not going to. And what we're going to do is we're going to say add another ceiling in here. Okay. Now with that last ceiling that we've added, we're then going to select it just by choosing any one of those lines, and we're going to say edit boundary because we need to cut that out for our staircase. Literally all I'm going to do is just go ahead and draw a line, be really, really crude and draw a line around this staircase. I'm not going to be overly accurate at all, like that. Then use your trim to corner to trim here and here. unjoin the elements, and then draw a final line from here to here. Press your tick. That'll create your ceiling, but have a cutout for your staircase. Go and have a look in 3D. You'll notice now that we have ceilings in position. Finally, the last thing I want to do is add a floor on every level and then just copy everything up to finish this off. So go ahead and go to level 1 floor plan. Go ahead and say floor. This time change it from a ground bearing floor to maybe a timber floor. Choose your walls and go ahead and select all of your external walls once again, just like we did at the start of this session. But this time you want those spanning to the underside of the plasterboard because it's a timber floor. It wouldn't go to the core. Once you've done that, we also need to make sure that we've got a cut for that staircase. So just like we did earlier, go ahead and grab your line tool or your rectangle tool and just literally trace around your staircase. Okay, arguably you might have a timber floor in each room individually, but in this case, we're just going to do it as one because we're a little bit pushed for time. So we've got a rectangle here and the boundary. Press your tick, attach the floor to the walls, say yes, and that will give you a floor like so. I'm going to deselect in my 3D view, use my properties and come down to turn off section box to show my entire 3D model. I'm going to head over onto that 3D view, orbit around and select the floor. With that floor selected, I'm going to come up to my ribbon and choose copy to clipboard. I'm then going to say paste drop down, aligned to selected levels, levels 1, it's already on level 1, levels 2 and levels 3. It's okay. That will paste that floor in exactly the same guise all the way up. I'm then going to go down to level 0. And I'm going to go ahead and choose all of the different elements that I want to copy up. So all of my windows, select. You could right click them and say select other or select similar to go and select all of the same of those windows. But it's worth, as you're new to this, just getting used to using those selection tools. So make sure you don't do what I did there and let go of control. But basically come in and select all of your walls, all of your doors, all of your windows, everything that you want to copy up to each individual floor. So I want my staircase as well. We want to have our walls, our external windows, literally everything apart from the front door and the external walls. Make sure you don't grab any grid lines either. Once you've got those, we're going to come in and just say copy again. Then we're going to say paste. And once we've got paste, we're going to say that we want to align that to selected levels. I've obviously selected something that it didn't like there, which is a little bit annoying. Let's just go and do that again. It's probably the staircase, unless I grabbed one of the grids accidentally. So let's go and just do it to the windows first. Copy, paste, selected levels, number 1, 2, and 3. It's okay. Go and grab all of your internal walls, select one, right click, select all instances visible in view, copy to clipboard, paste it to aligned levels 1, 2, and 3. And again, do that for your doors. Go and select them all either individually or using that right click option. Copy, paste align to selected levels 1, 2, and 3. Now, once you've got those, so the stairs won't allow you to paste them up. So we'll do those in another session. If you go across to your 3D view, you'll notice that we now have all of those spanning across all of our levels. Okay. The only thing that we didn't copy up is the ceilings. And again, if you wanted to, just head over to level 0. Go ahead and select all instances of ceiling that you have in the view. So ceiling. Sometimes it's easier to just go and do that in a 3D view, putting on a section box. And just drag that section box down. Select ground floor. And then we can come in and say ceilings, right click, select all instances in the view, copy them and then paste them, aligning to 1, 2 and 3. Once we've done that, we should have this building spanning multiple stories with all the components in each level, both in 3D and on the floor plan. Finally, head up to our roof level, and we want to add on our roof. So the roof currently doesn't see anything. So if you just have a look at your elevations, just to explain this before we finish off, on our elevations, let's use the north one that we used earlier, our wall stops at our roof level and our roof view doesn't go below that. So I've got two options. I can either change my roof view to show underneath that, or quite simply I can select all of my walls, all of my external walls. Once I've got all of my external walls selected, I can basically go and change their build-up. So those walls are currently going literally up to my roof. I can say go up to my roof, but offset them by 1 meter. Okay, that'll move them up further. If you go and look at your roof level now, you'll have those walls. Architectural, roof. Change the type selector to just be a generic flat roof is fine for this. We want to overhang, maybe 250 mm is fine. Turn off defining the slope, and then with selection of walls, literally go and click so that the dashed line is on the outside of those walls. Right click, cancel a couple of times, select where you want the slope to be. So I want my slope to be this way. In the properties, say define slope, and then give it a minimal slope for the purpose of this. 2 degrees is fine. Apply it, press the tick, go and have a look in here. There's our roof. And if it hasn't automatically cut your walls, literally go ahead and select one of them, tab, select the loop, and say attach to the roof. And there you have it. Within just over half an hour. Apologies for the rush at the end there. We've run out of time because of my internet connection at the start. So apologies for that. But what we have there within a little over half an hour is a 3D building with multiple floor plans, ready to then add in components as you go. So I hope that was useful. Again, any questions, fire them into the comments and I'll ask them over the coming days or in next week's video. I hope that was useful. Feel free to look at the other videos that we've done over the past few weeks as part of this All In This Together program. Check out our more detailed videos on YouTube. But we will be back next Monday, same time at 10:30. That's 10:30. Same time at 10 o'clock to go through adding components into this model. So thank you very much for your time. Stay safe, stay well, enjoy the weather, enjoy the time with your family, and see you again. Thank you very much.